Let's get in some front page news. Lauren LaRosa filling in for Jess. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, DJ NV, Charlamagne the God, and Lauren LaRosa. Happy Monday. How y'all feeling?
Good.
Feeling good.
Peace, Morgan.
Good. All right, y'all, let's get into it. So, topping the headlines, Elon Musk says all federal workers must report what they did last week or be dismissed. In a social media post, Musk said employees will receive an email requesting information about what they worked on in the last 7 days, and any failure to respond to that email will be taken as a resignation. Now, the move comes after President Trump said he'd like to see Musk be, quote, more aggressive in his efforts to slash the federal workforce. Now, in the first month of Trump's presidency, thousands of federal employees have been fired. The first of what officials say will be a wave of layoffs. Now, speaking of layoffs, the Trump administration is set to put all civil servants employed by the USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, on administrative leave Monday at midnight. That's today, as well as cut 2,000 employees from that agency. A notice reviewed by The Hill shows that this maneuver is being called a reduction in force and was delivered from the office of the administrator. Hundreds of employees contracted to work with USAID were fired following that order.
Hey,
now,
listen, salute the FBI Director Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard for telling their employees no, they not responding to Elon Musk's email. Okay, like Elon Musk is not an elected official. He's not the president. You know, voters didn't vote for him. How is this immigrant from another country, you know, able to tell the government what to do with their money, and how is he able to tell government officials, hey, you got to send me an email telling me what it is you do? Salute. I'm happy that they pushed back on Elon Musk this weekend. That Kash Patel, the new FBI director, and Tulsi Gabbard absolutely pushed back on him. I'm happy to hear that.
People were still responding to the emails, though. I got some friends that work, and I was with them when that email came out, and they were gathering, like literally teams were calling each other.
I'm sure they were
just
nervous
doing
and scared.
they
got
literally
families,
were so scared.
Homes, and expenses and bills. They got to make sure it's paid. So I'm sure
it
they're
was
nervous.
like just a cross your T, dot your I type of thing.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And if you live in a DMV, it ain't cheap. I'm just telling you. So, yeah. But in another news, President Trump says he will not provide federal funding to states that don't comply with executive orders related to transgender women in sports. Now, speaking to governors at the White House, Trump's had an exchange of words with Maine Governor Janet Mills on Friday over this executive order. Now, earlier this month, Trump did sign the executive order that banned transgender women from participating in women's sports. Trump and Maine Governor Janet Mills had a bit of an exchange, which resulted in Trump telling her that he doesn't see a future in politics for her after her term ends. Let's hear more from that exchange, Trump and Mills.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal law.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. Your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
So if you couldn't hear, the Maine governor Janet Mills, what she was saying, she was basically telling Trump that she will see him in court and that she's going to continue to comply with federal laws. And to which Trump said in the audio you heard, "Yeah, I am the federal law." So,
why are folks still talking about trans athletes? Like, that is a losing talking point. America's not with it, and they keep making a micro or macro with that conversation. It impacts such a small group of people, but it makes a whole lot of people think folks lack common sense. So why are they even having that conversation? And I can't believe it's states that still want to die on that hill. Like, none of these states have a high percentage of trans athletes. So what's the issue?
Maybe it's just protecting the overall arching issue of trans rights, or that's still an ongoing thing. That's still a developing issue.
I don't know the probability, but I'm sure it's a higher probability if most people don't want men playing in women's sports, especially if they have daughters that practice, right. And that I'm sure the probability is pretty high.
It's just not a high percentage of trans athletes in the country, period.
Right.
So I know state to state it has to be even smaller. So whatever.
I'm not sure. Maybe they like to, they're just, again, getting ahead of the issue. But to your point, yeah, I mean, don't die on the hill, y'all. There's so much more we could talk about. But yeah, speaking of which, we'll talk more on at the 7 o'clock hour. It seems like my time is up. We'll talk about the Ukraine and Russia situation. Seems like there's going to be an update with that.
All right. And everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open again. 800-585-1051. Get it off your chest. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa filling in for Jess. And let's get in some front page news. What up, Morgan?
What's up, Envy, Charlamagne, and Lauren? Let's get back into it, okay? So the White House says that the Ukraine war could end as soon as this week. That's good news, right? Speaking to reporters on Saturday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the president is very confident he can get the deal done this week, and they're focused on negotiations. A change in tone from last week, where Trump suggested Ukraine is responsible for Russia's invasion, and then when Zelensky wondered why he wasn't asked to attend U.S.-Russia peace talks in Saudi Arabia, Trump called Zelensky on social media a dictator without elections. So on Friday, a reporter asked Trump if he thought Putin was a dictator, and here's what he had to say.
I think that President Putin and President Zelensky are going to have to get together because you know what? We want to stop killing millions of people. I want to see a ceasefire and I want to get the deal done. I think we have a chance to get the deal done.
So more on this, Ukraine's
Hold on,
president.
that was his answer to the Putin is a dictator question?
Yes, it is. That was his answer to the is Putin
So
a
he
dictator?
just deflected.
That's what he said. Yes, he did.
He
Yes,
just didn't answer it. Okay.
Pretty much. So more on this, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says he's ready to step down if it brings peace to his country. The Ukraine president made the offer at a news conference on Sunday saying, if it is peace for Ukraine and you really want me to leave my post, I'm ready. Now, he said he would willingly trade his position for immediate NATO membership. So if Zelensky steps down, that means that Ukraine will then become a member of NATO. So we'll continue to watch that situation and see what happens with that. And other presidential news, the president is supposed to be meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron later this week at the White House. Switching gears, a former Army chief of staff says President Trump's firing of the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff is tremendously destabilizing to the U.S. military. General Charles Brown Jr. was fired on Friday night in a move critics say was an effort by Trump to get rid of the diversity initiatives in the U.S. military. Appearing on ABC's This Week, retired General George Casey warned of the danger of sudden senior personnel changes, especially those who lead our military. Let's take a listen to retired General George Casey's comments.
When you remove so many senior leaders, especially without justifying and giving due cause, it creates huge uncertainty in the ranks. That's extremely destabilizing at a time that's a lot going on domestically and a lot going on abroad.
I mean, it's interesting with these conversations, right? Because what I don't understand is if they are saying DEI means that a lot of people who lack experience are getting these positions, how are you firing actual experienced people but replacing them with people with less experience?
I'm not sure that they're even necessarily being, I guess they would be replaced, but, how do you, I don't have.
I just don't understand how you justify that. Like, how do you justify getting rid of, him? It's interesting. I don't know.
I don't think you can. I really don't think you can justify it, even if you're saying it's for the purse. If it's, it's a bigger thing and it's a matter of, this tax cuts and all of these things. That's one of those. That's one of those personnels that you can't justify cutting. Find it somewhere else. Find the coin somewhere else, guys.
And when you General Charles Brown, that's it, right? Like you just retired at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean. Go on vacation, I guess. I don't know. But all right, let me bring things home to you guys in New York. The drama does continue. New York City Mayor Eric Adams' federal corruption trial is officially being delayed indefinitely. So a federal judge overseeing the case is considering a request by the Justice Department to drop the charges against Adams. This is the first update on Adams' case since the judge held a hearing on Wednesday. On Thursday, New York Governor Kathy Hochul announced that she's putting limits on his power rather than remove him from office. Now, Hochul's decision comes after allegations that Adams made a deal to cooperate with Trump's immigration policies in exchange for the Department of Justice order to drop the federal case against him. Now, Hochul told CBS Face the Nation she doesn't want to undermine the will of the voters who elected Adams, despite the outrage over the Justice Department ordering his corruption charges to be dismissed. She said she'll resist any attempt by President Trump's administration to influence politics in New York City. Let's hear more from New York Governor Kathy Hochul.
We are not allowing the Trump administration to interfere in the operations of our city. But I will always stand on the fact that we are a nation of laws. And one individual, the governor of New York, should not use her voice and her will to override the will of the voters. We have an election in a few months in a primary. I'm going to let the voters decide. But I'm also going to be very cognizant. I need to keep an eye on this situation.
Didn't Eric Adams just recently sue Trump after all that? Didn't he sue him for like $80 million or something like that?
Yes, the $80 million that I guess I want to say they took it was already a part of the New York budget, but it was taken. And yes, so Mayor Eric Adams is suing for that. There's not too many other updates outside of the fact that he has filed the lawsuit, but yeah. So Hochul, she said she would rather allow this year's mayoral election to play out, which the primary election for you guys in New York is June 23rd, 2025. So I'm sorry, June 24th. Primary election day in New York is June 24th. So you guys make sure you exercise your right to vote. Critics say that this order is part of a quid pro quo for Adams' cooperation with the Trump administration on immigration. I really thought that we were going to be kind of done with this story once, Hochul said she was just going to limit his power. But it does seem that it's a lot going on up there. So yeah, well, I will keep you posted. So that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on social at Morgan Media. And for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit BINnews.com. One more thing, guys. We are watching a situation out of Rome in the Vatican. The Pope is in grave condition right now. So I'll keep you guys posted on that as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Morgan.
Thank you.
All right.
If you pray for the Pope, is that more powerful than the prayers he can do for himself?
Oh.
I'm just asking.
I don't know. But that is front page news. I do have a question before we go into our next guest. Charlamagne, did you go to Red Lobster this weekend? I know you said you was going to go.
I did. I went Saturday.
How was it?
It was actually all right. I went there to get some Red Lobster to go. I had the lobster roll. The lobster roll was actually busting, but I was high, so I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I had two things. I got the lobster and shrimp pasta with marinara sauce. And I had the lobster roll, and the lobster roll, both of them was good, but the lobster roll was really good because I ate that later when I was high. Oh, my God.
Okay. All right. I got to try some this week. All right. Well, thank you again, Morgan. Now, when we come back, Attorney Joe Tacopina will be joining us. You know him. He's a defense attorney for A$AP Rocky. He also represented celebrities like Donald Trump, Michael Jackson, A-Rod, Meek Mill, YG, Swiss Beats, Foxy Brown, Neo, just to name a few. And we're going to talk to him next. So don't go anywhere. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.